Yeah. No, that's really comfortable.
Should I actually-
They're expensive.
Why don't we get started? So, I'm here to present, what is the title of our talk here? Should be, it's probably right behind me, right? So faculty partnerships with SI Pass and engaging with faculty and students, engaging with students outside the classroom. We're just gonna let you two introduce. Go right ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone hear me, I guess, sure. I'm Samantha Futhey. I'm the Senior Academic Coordinator for Tutoring and College Success, and I run the SI Pass program, which we'll talk about in 2 seconds.
And I'm Mary, and I teach in biology. I teach the majors biology classes for 1 year level.
She also supports the SI Pass program as our faculty liaison. Okay, next slide. On it. Great. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick opening activity. We'll talk about what SI Pass is, some elements of it, and then we'll hopefully get to another activity about trying to integrate some elements of what the SI Pass leaders do with their students and seeing ways that you can incorporate that into your own classroom settings, and then we'll just have a complete brief closing activity and time for questions. Okay.
All right. So a lot of times when we're teaching, students are walking in from who knows what they were doing right before that day. And it can be really helpful to get them thinking about class that day. What are their brains supposed to be thinking about now? And so one of the things that you can do is an opening activity, something that's short, sweet, doesn't take a whole lot of time. In this case, we're going to do a brain dump activity. So we're going to have you participate in this thing and model set activity. So what I want you to do is take 30 seconds and write down, you've got your printouts of the slides, whatever piece of paper you want to use. Take 30 seconds and write down anything and everything you already know about SI Pass. And if you don't know anything, come up with something else about, problems with active learning in the classrooms. But 30 seconds.
Very impressive.
It's a short amount of time, right? Give people actively thinking about it. If you've got time in your class, then you can ask for volunteers to share one thing and only one. And hopefully not that one student that always talks, but, and get kind of a collective understanding of what people know and then be prepared to talk about whatever the topic is today. In this case, what the heck is SI Pass?
Yes, so I'm just gonna tell you what it is. All right, so we are supplemental instruction peer assisted study sessions. So peer-led group study sessions for students in historically challenging courses. This is kind of our definition of that. This is a retention program. So the goal is to support the academic performance in these courses and to help students graduate. And then these are kind of our current focuses now in terms of the classes that we support. Okay. And then in SI Pass, it is a collaborative and active learning environment. So the SI Pass leaders who run the study sessions are getting students actively engaged in reviewing the content from the lecture. So the main goal is combine what to learn with how to learn. We're accredited by this institution here, and then our funding is from Complete College of Idaho plans. Okay, next main activity. All right.
So an important thing for a lot of classes is identifying what misconceptions students walk into the room with. And if you've been teaching a particular course for a long time, you might have those ready to hand. And so doing some kind of activity that explicitly calls out those misconceptions or gives them an opportunity to identify that it's a misconception that they hold can be important. So the way I've done this is we've got the activity, 2 truths and a lie, 2 true statements, 1 misconception, right? Can you identify the misconception? For my labs, when I have 24 people in the lab, I have a set of multicolored multiple choice questions, the cards that just live in the lab. For my lectures with 200 students, I use clickers. But we're gonna post the thing up and then you're just gonna go through them and decide which one, show me which card you think it is. If you're on Zoom, you can use the chat.
Ready?
So, what's the misconception? I'm Tim. Alright, so handy dandy, you all in the physical room said the same thing. You all said B was the misconception. You are correct. This is nice because even in big rooms, you can tell what color people are holding up, even if you can't see the font. And so it's a nice way to say. Another thing I like to do is word them such that I deliberately give people giving me different colors. And that it opens it up for questions and further engagement. So quick and easy ways to figure out what students are thinking.
And you all know, you got the right answer, so great, perfect. SIPAS is not the same student. So we'll talk about faculty support in just a second. It's not a replacement for attending class or a recitation or a lecture. Students should be going to class. They are more successful in participating in SIPAS if they actually go to class. And then folks have challenging content. It is voluntary. We do provide consistent support throughout the semester. And then I do want to highlight the SIPAS leaders. So these are some of my SIPAS leaders. So they are academically strong. They've been recommended and approved by the faculty that they work with. They are embedded in the class with the students. And then they participate in our certification training. And so that involves them learning how to facilitate groups of students to work together. It involves them lesson planning. I have activity banks for them, and then they come up with activities based on the course content and apply that. So there's a lot of training that goes involved with getting them up and running and running these classes or running these study sessions. But they are not TAs, they don't help with grading and that sort of thing, but they do help faculty in other ways in terms of, you know, understanding what's happening in the class environment, getting feedback from students and relaying that to faculty, which I know faculty that we work with really appreciate that. And then we do collect attendance data for program assessment. And then in terms of impacts of the program, just general, regular participants tend to have a lower DFW rate compared to those who do not participate. And then they also tend to earn a half to a full letter grade higher. This has been pretty consistent across our historical data for multiple years now at this point. So yeah, and then Mary, if you want to talk about your particular data set there.
So I threw a graph up there. What I find is a pretty consistent pattern. Students that go to SIPAS during a unit do better on that unit's exam score. And if I have enough students that are participating, I have a big enough sample size, you can usually see a really strong pattern of the more sessions in a unit you go to, the better your exam score, right? The more prepared you are. And so what I like to do is put it in something like this and then actually show it to the students afterwards and say, hey, look, if you want to improve your exam score and you're not doing this thing, give it a try. It's helping out your food level students. I'll also do this with the attendance and class data because I'm doing clickers. I know who's there. And same types of patterns. Students that participate do better. And usually after I show up the data, I'll get more people doing the thing. So that's really nice.
Yeah, cool.
So for those that are not familiar with SIPAS, as Samantha said, it was faculty supported. What does that look like? Well, that means us faculty have a say in who those students that are leading the sessions are. We can nominate people. We definitely review the candidates after they've been interviewed and can get feedback on, yeah, I'm comfortable with this person. No, I'm not comfortable with that person. Within the semester, we take about 30 minutes every week and actually meet with those SI leaders, help identify what content coming up they should be focusing in on their sections, what's problematic. We advocate, like with my data, to our students to actually attend this thing, go reach out for resources that actively exist for them. And then essentially at the end of the semester, nominating students to be a part of the program in the future and giving feedback for the overall program itself. Cool. All right. The main thing we wanted to get to is it can be helpful for faculty to have an idea of what those SI Pass leaders are doing within their SI Pass sessions. So there's supposed to be group activities. There's supposed to be ways of getting the students to engage with the material. And are there any ways that we can take that kind of concept and use them in our own classes? Even if we don't have SI Pass leaders. And so we wanted to have this conversation about what are the techniques, what are the trainings that our SI leaders are using in their sessions. And can you do anything for yourself? So, show of hands in the room, if you are actively teaching a class. Cool. Or have taught, how about that? Okay. So how many students in your class?
Oh, I'm not a good example. I have 7.
7,
Yes.
so
Like the 55.
55. When do you teach?
Most, yeah, this is 50 to 100, depending on.
50 to
class.
100, okay, roundabout
Mostly 24, sometimes
24, smallish,
I teach workshops. So
workshops, so smaller numbers, cool,
anywhere from
anywhere,
10 or 5 to 60.
all over the place,
Yeah, like 25 and 50.
25, 50, okay, so. Kind of all over the place, I'm not gonna make you get up and move. But if you were in SI Pass, you'd have to get up and move. So we're, Samantha handed out a handout. It's got a bunch of information on grouping techniques for students and facilitation techniques. And so you guys are gonna take a couple of minutes, read through it on your own. And then you'll partner up with some. And start the discussion of what those techniques are. How could you fit those into your own classes? How are they relevant? And then kind of metacognitioning, what do you want to know more about? What roles do you have? And you can essentially use the big giant post-it notes and organize your thoughts. So look over the handout. Read through it. Which of those things do you think you can apply to your own classes? And then group up. And we'll give it a few minutes. All right, so let's go around the room and have each group share out one of the techniques, facilitation or grouping, that you think you would want to try. Do that first.
Oh, we had another one that we both value, which is like having opportunities for like low stakes share out. Or like you're calling on students to share things that they've talked about in their group, but it's not high stakes, but then there's the accountability that you will call on someone.
Okay, so low stakes share outs. In the middle.
First 5, those are the interesting and low stakes idea.
Okay, so first 5, facilitation technique.
We were talking about like mid-size groups and stuff.
And assigning goals, right?
Assigning goals.
Having some
Uh-huh.
goals.
Making people accountable.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Hurdles. One hurdle.
Students struggling with random groupings, whether that's due to social anxiety or a myriad of reasons.
Okay, so student struggles with being part of a group,
Yeah, like they may not even show up if they know we're gonna randomly group them.
right? Okay, so random versus assigned groups, and there are problems and benefits of both.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm curious about Jigsaw, but I would want to see the materials or see it happen first.
And so seeing some of these things in action before. Okay.
Yeah, or this.
Appropriate classroom spaces for the work. They're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
The perpetual issue of space in the classroom, and classroom design for large lectures, stage on the stage on the stage, you know what I meant? Versus active, yeah.
Yeah, does anyone have, out of all these hurdles, does anyone have in the room have any like ideas or suggestions?
Solutions.
Solutions, yes.
To help my students meet more people, I'll have them they get to pick their pair, like their partner, and then I randomly put 2 partner groups together.
Oh, the snowball.
Yeah, the snowball. But then I break it apart, but they have to go with the person they didn't know. And then kind of break out, so it makes it a little lower stakes.
So give them an established partner that they can be familiar with, and then let them expand their horizons.
Yes,
In groups.
cool, they get their emotional support person.
I mean, we're making it work with the spaces that we have, and we're been like, when the registrar assigns us rooms, I run around campus. So that we can make changes as soon as we know.
Yeah, anytime they try to put an SI pass session in one of the auditorium rooms in the TLC, I come back to them, I'm like, we are not using that room. You have to find something else for us, sorry.
Does anybody on Zoom have anything they wanna share out?
No,
Okay,
okay,
cool.
yeah, and then in regards to things like Jigsaw, that is kind of a complicated one. I do that with my leaders in training in our staff meetings. So a lot of the more complicated grouping strategies, we do a lot of practice in our ongoing and beginning of semester training, because when you read the description, you're like, how does that work? But yeah, with Jigsaw, that one, I've seen leaders do this too, where they will assign color groups to the first group that's together. And then after that, they have number groups. And so there's ways to divide those groups so that you can kind of keep it organized in your head. But yeah, it definitely helps to see it. We just don't have time to do something like that, but I'm glad that you brought that up. Okay.
All right, last thing, closing activity. Oftentimes for our students, we want them to do a little metacognition at the end. What do you actually remember from lecture this day? What was the most important thing you learned? So you get to do that too.
As you're finishing writing and thinking, if you have any questions about the program, I know again, a lot of you are familiar with ACEs, but if you do have any questions, ideas, courses that the program could support, ways we could be supporting students differently, please contact us. So my information is up here. My office is right downstairs. So 346. You can also email the general email. And then for more faculty related stuff, that's Dr. Oswald's role. That's why she's here. So please feel free to ask her questions. She's very experienced in the program. So yeah, and that's all we got. So thank you for participating. Okay. There you go.
So if people, we have the survey, yeah, they fill out the survey.
Well, it's in that wants to go there.